Personality when you can switch who you are at the push of a button.
It's Sid, Swish, Kamala. That's right.
Oh, hello, young lady. Quite a marvelous day, isn't it?
Why does she talk so weird?
Let me play with her.
Well, hey there, little nugget. I'm going to be the first black female president of the United States of America.
Man, this doll sucks.
Accent Switch Kamala can emulate any accent you like, as long as it grants her credibility.
A bonjour, tu aimes les croissants?
Merde américaine.
Guten Tag, Sie lieben ein Bratwurst? Ufta, 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 da.
Luke, I am your mother.
It's Sid, Swish, Kamala. That's right.
But wait, there's more. All new Accent Switch Kamala comes with 2 bags of campaign money, a blind eye for illegal immigration, and her own multi-laugh 3000 generator. Laugh in every way possible. Let Accent Switch Kamala turn your life into a complete circus.
When you give me more money, like Uncle Joey did.
Don't you wear a little mad? The money's coming.
I don't understand.
Oh, excuse me, honey.
I meant to say, the money is coming. I love ice cream, Kamala map.
It's Accent Switch Kamala and brand new Tampon Tim.
You know, my grandma always used to say, Kamala Janu, please wash your hands so we can eat our chicken masama.
It's Sid, Swish, Kamala.
Teleprompter not included.
That is hilarious. And how'd they make it look like an old commercial? Looks like
there's filters for that. There's ways to do that.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You can totally do that. Yeah, that was hilarious. I had so many choices for clips to start the stream off tonight because there's so many different things that have just happened in this past week that have been so funny. And I think overall, like big picture, the Democrats, and this is of course the theme of the show, the Democrats in a freaking death spiral. Like, and I have to say, obviously, everyone likes to get ahead of the narrative and spin things the way they want to believe things are going. But I think we have to admit, like, on every objective factor between now and 4 years ago and 2 years ago, things are looking way better for Trump and the Republicans in general. Like, all that talk about the red wave even 2 years ago, the polling didn't quite show that. And there's all this, no, trust us, there's always going to be this, the Republicans always outperform the polls. The polls are now showing Trump is straight up ahead. In fact, we can look at some of those in a moment here. But there's that. There's the difference in the campaign organization. Am I wrong in thinking that we are way better organized than we were 2 years ago and 4 years ago?
There's no question about that.
Yeah, I mean, 2 years ago we were. I mean, redistricting. We were kind of in a bad spot too, right? We had just gone through that. Like that took forever, and when it was delayed, that didn't help.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think by every objective standard, the organization is vastly superior. In terms of poll workers, poll challenger, vastly superior. In terms of money, messaging, momentum, everything is looking better than it was. And everything this week has been, showing that. So here we've got, let me bring this up on the screen here. This is, we'll look at a few of these. This is Polymarket. This is one of these betting sites where, never mind what the polls say, what people who are going to put their money into trying to make money from predicting the results of the election are saying 54 to 45% for Trump, which is, again, better than it looked in 2020. And of course, a lot of this based on the polls.
So Robert Barnes was talking about this tonight.
Yeah.
And with Viva, and he said that something changed in the way people are allowed to bet. So now in the last few weeks, that's another reason why this is maybe more showing what's going on.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Like they've opened up the money for some other markets or something? I'm not.
Right. There was a ruling that allowed more generalized betting where you bet on other things. You're allowed to now bet on, races.
Okay.
But this particular one, Adam, it doesn't show on this screen, but I check this all the time because it is the best indicator of sort of what.
Here's another one here. This predict it.
Right. But Polymarket has had 1.8 billion bet on the presidential race so far. It's not a little bit of money. That's not predicted money. That's a lot of money on Polymarket. And the funny part is that Polymarket was one of the founders, one of the principals is Nate Silver. And so it sort of matched what he was doing, and then it diverged. And then Nate spent the next, 30 days trying to explain why the divergence occurred and why he was sticking to his modeling of, Harris.
We're making fun of Nate Silver on the stream too tonight.
and it just diverged, and the people who are putting their money on it don't agree. So
I think even more than that, though, I got Kelly Powell's comment up here. Even people who are betting, who are putting their money on it, they're still coming at elections for the most part with an observer's mentality. They're not campaign professionals. I mean, some of them are, but most of them are not. Most of them are regular people, bettors. But what we feel on the ground is so different in terms of doors knocked, just in terms of, people organizing and mobilizing. It seems so different this time. Chris says, what are we as organized as the Dems? Well, here's the thing, though. You have to understand, it's year over year. Democrats, and this is the thing we're talking about, cheating in Detroit and that kind of stuff, too. It's not like this would be the first election they will ever do that. Are they going to be able to do it more than they did 4 years ago? Are the Democrats going to be better organized now than they were 4 years ago compared to Republicans? And I don't know that that's true at all. I don't think it is. I mean, obviously they have institutional money and they have institutional campaign professionals and all that who will do what they're paid to do. But there is also a part of the Democrat Party that is irresolute. I mean, think about 2020. In 2020, Republicans were the irresolute force against the unified Democrats in attacking Trump, the incumbent president. This year, Republicans are, by and large, unified against a very fractured, irresolute Democrat operation. So I think that there's
at the end of the day, and this, Adam, Patty, this too. At the end of the day, when you make that voter impression in a presidential race, you eventually have to get them to be persuaded, right? You knocked the door, you made the phone call, you sent the flyer. Is it persuasive? And that's the deck of cards that the Democrats have. There's no persuading against some of this stuff. I was talking with someone earlier, and I said, I get the best advertisement for Donald Trump, and I get it every single weekend. You know what that is? I go shopping for groceries.
Yeah.
And every single person is reminded, hey, you put something on the scanner and beep, what comes up? It's going to be much more than it used to be.
Yeah.
And every single week, there's an advertisement for Donald Trump. And it's really, really hard. You make all those great contacts, you knock on the door, and then what do you say? Great question.
I was distributing yard signs yesterday, and I had a guy come to get some yard signs. And he says, I'm 23 years old. 4 years ago when I was 19, I was hooked on drugs, and I could make ends meet. Now I have a job, I've got a baby on the way, and I can't make ends meet because prices are so high.
Oh my God.
That's what he told me. Yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah, we had somebody who was like, we're trying to get people to come to our phone bank tomorrow. And, we're in this Facebook page, 1,800 people. And anyway, again, that doesn't mean anything, right? That doesn't translate these people actually want to work. But, this lady was like, I would love to come. I have 2 jobs just to pay my bills,
By the way, since it's caught myself doing it, when I'm looking up and away, I'm not rolling my eyes. I'm looking at the Rumble chats. I am. We are live on Rumble as well as YouTube and Facebook. So, folks, if you catch me doing that, I'm just looking up at the Rumble chats. But I am watching the chat on Rumble. But yeah, we've got some more numbers here. I will bring these in. This is Real Clear polling. Which, first off, we have the generic misleading poll, the national one, which is absolutely worthless because it's just looking at the popular vote. You look at the battleground states. Arizona, Trump is ahead. Nevada, neck and neck, 0.2%. Now, Nevada's got a lot of election fraud, so hopefully that's, I mean, if we win Nevada, we're winning everything. Wisconsin, Harris, 0.04. But again, look at the numbers. Look at the dates here. Trump +2 in Quinnipiac, which is a much more recent poll than these others. This was after the vice presidential debate, which J.D. Vance mopped the floor with Tim Walz. This is Michigan. Average, Trump's ahead. Quinnipiac, again, the most recent one, Trump +3. Michigan, folks. Trump was not ahead in Michigan in any poll before the election in 2020. Pennsylvania.
2016, as of October 1st. Detroit News, which is the same poll that was out there, same pollster, Richard Zuba, had Hillary Clinton +7.
Wow.
How'd that turn out?
Yeah, exactly. So there you go.
There was a lot of silent Trump voters back then. I don't think people are silent anymore. But so then that could be why the polls look how they do, right?
Could be. It doesn't feel that way. I don't think it is, based on the things I'm hearing from people, and again, the organization. They're saying in politics, victory goes to the side with the most best trained activists, and things are looking pretty good. North Carolina, Trump is killing it. Georgia, well, I shouldn't say killing. He's ahead in the polls, though. But again, considering everything else we've seen, and again, the most recent one, Quinnipiac. Okay, that's not as recent. Trump +6. Remember the Wall Street Journal. And Quinnipiac is not exactly a pro-Trump polling outfit. Some comments real quick. I skipped over this one. Mark Ashley Price. I'm a candidate for re-election for the Highland Park School Board, but I am now scared if I do win re-election because of my safety. You'll be fine, Mark. I mean, if they're going to go after you, they go after you before the election, wouldn't they? Because you're the incumbent. John Chapman says, hello, fine people, but Patty, will there be Greek lasagna? How could people not want to go? That's for your phone bank tomorrow.
Phone bank, yeah. It's called pasticcio, but I have,
Representative Jamie Thompson, or her committee to re-elect, says, I'm knocking Democrat doors. Must be Jamie. I'm knocking Democrat doors that are asking for my sign and a Trump sign, saying they are pro-union, pro-choice, and still done with the Democrat Party until they get their act together. We got them right now, but we got to keep them. Speaking of that, I was going to save this for later in the stream, but since it's come up now actually twice talking about these things, there are some new yard signs that are coming out from the Michigan Republican Party. I just saw them at our office 2 days ago. If you haven't seen these, folks, let me show you. I got some of them here. So first we have, this is the classic, the Trump. That's got Vance on it. Stand by there, Trump and Vance. You've all seen these. These have been around for a while now, but they got some new ones. They've got some new ones. This first one, I'm not too crazy about this one, honestly. This is one that says Trump, low taxes, Kamala, high taxes. Yeah, I mean, of all the things to campaign on, I feel like the Republicans wasn't going to talk about taxes, and I think the voters, taxes are numbers, and numbers are hard. However, there is also this one, Trump, low prices, Kamala, high prices, much, much better. Like this one. This one's awesome. A+ for who came up with that design. Then they've got this one here. This is another new one, brand new, hot off the press. Trump secure border, Kamala open border. I like that. Although in Michigan, not compared to Arizona, it's not going to be as good, but it ain't bad. I've been giving those away. And then my personal favorite, the one that will drive Democrats absolutely bonkers. This is the first one I put in my yard. Trump safety, Kamala crime.
Adam, I'm going to chastise you here. It's only a handful of apartment complexes that have been taken over by Venezuela.
Only a handful.
This is a big deal over it.
Yeah.
Only a tiny piece of our country has been overrun by foreign terrorists. Well, no.
So it led to an interesting conversation. What exactly is a handful? Like a couple, two, a few, three? Yeah. What's a handful? Is it 5? Yeah. Is it 10? Apartment complexes overrun by Venezuelan gangs, and it's not a big deal?
Mike
Yeah.
Hume, they have them at the Livonia Trump office. They have all 4 of those signs.
Yeah, I don't know where you're from, Mike, but contact the GOP and find out where your local Trump Victory Center is. They're going all over
at Laurel Park. Yeah,
Laurel Park,
Livonia.
Yep. Yeah, and Matt, of course, that was the interview with JD Vance. A lot of incredible interviews with JD Vance that he's been trying to nail him on. He just swats him down. It's hilarious. Russ Jennings says, I don't like the new signs. They look like internet ordered signs. Well, where else do you get signs from? But they are flying off the shelves. Yep.
Did you see Ron Picard's? He's got a new term, sign panic. I like it.
Sign panic. I've seen this now right by my house. The Democrats down the street have 4 signs in their 1 yard. People are telling me Dems have 3 signs in their yard. People are asking me, can I get 4 signs because they've got 3 signs? No, guys, 1 is plenty. 1's plenty. Here's what you got to have: 1 sign for Donald Trump, 1 sign for Andrew Fink, because that way people know who to vote for in the Supreme Court race. I wish you could say O'Grady too, but I haven't seen O'Grady signs.
There's no O'Grady signs?
I've not seen a single one. I can't get one. I've asked them for it. I can't get one.
Yeah, I think one of the things you're noticing is people aren't afraid to put them out anymore. That's the difference between.
Well, they're getting burned in Plymouth.
Right. In 2020, remember, COVID, BLM, riots, people were afraid to say what they believed. And they were told, if you speak up, you're a racist, you're this, you're that, you're a Nazi, all these bad things. That was all not true. 4 years go by. Now everyone knows it's not true. And now they're not holding back, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Mike, did you have our voter guide there?
They don't, but sometimes a repeating message does help. There are still a few undecided voters out there yet. Up north, Emmett says, not a fan of putting Kamala's name on the signs. A lot of people say they're not interested in having one because of that. Well, fine, give those people a regular Trump fan sign. That's okay.
I did see my first live Trump scratch out the P, turn it into a V, scratch out the E, make it into an A.
An old Trump band.
They did a great job. They did a great job. It was up and down a little bit west of here on the way to out in South Lyon. There were a lot of signs out. And again, signs don't vote, but voters vote. And what we have to do, if we want to get this done, we want to cross the finish line, we want to get people to knock doors. Patty's done a ton with that. Get on the phone. If anyone's interested, I can help with that. And when the time comes, we're going to be turning that around to being, you need to get your fellow citizen out to vote. Right.
Barry Altman says there's a New Hampshire office that has signs that say vote for peace, vote for Trump. I like that. Right. I haven't gotten those.
Hey,
anyway, some other polls. This is another story that was in the news recently. Crashing. Let me put this up on the screen here. Crashing Arab American support spells danger for Kamala Harris in Michigan, which, taken in combination with everything else. And here's a quote from James Zogby, who himself is Arab American and a Democrat. They don't seem to care enough about the Arab American vote to do something to get it, says longtime party leader James Zogby. There was an Arab American event in Detroit just a couple of days ago, and there was a lot of Arab Americans there. And they were very much in support of Trump.
Laura was there, and Tiffany's husband, I think, and his dad.
Laura, I think Tiffany herself was there, in fact, but her husband certainly was. Michael Boulos, they were in downtown Detroit. And by the way, they said confidentially, quote unquote, confidentially, Trump's internal polls are showing like he's going to win. Like they're looking good in New Mexico and New Hampshire, let alone all the swing states. So they're feeling pretty dang good.
Well, it's not
here's some news.
Anymore, I guess.
I'm sorry, Patty, say it again.
It's not confidential anymore.
Well, it was never really. I mean, obviously, dozens of people. People were live streaming the thing. People that weren't there were telling me what they had heard there. So I mean, I think she even put it in scare quotes when she said it. Between you and me, obviously. Also, the lead that Slotkin had over Mike Rogers has vanished. Now, for me personally, I don't really care all that much because, as Jonathan Chapman mentions, FBI versus CIA, what's the difference? I've made my opinion about Mike Rogers clear. But I do want Trump to win. I also want Tom Barrett to win. So at least for the sake of the ticket, I'm glad to see that that lead has evaporated. That's a good thing. So there you go. This 6 days ago poll says Slotkin holds edge. 4 days ago, tied. And that was right after they had a debate, which we'll talk about the debate in a minute or three. I've got some notes about the debate in a moment. But then, of course, this is the other sign right here that things are not going well for the polls any which way. Is the New York Times has reclined. Pay no attention to the polls. Ignore the polls.
Ignore the polls. And that was right after, and I mean right after, the New York Times Siena poll.
Yeah.
To ignore what they did. They're 2 doors down the hall.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. But we still need to get it done.
Also,
still need to knock doors. Still need to make phone calls. You got 3 weeks.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, is looking at the trends. Here's another one. This is NBC poll impression of candidates. A month ago, Harris was +3, 48 to 45 positive. Now, -6, 43 to 49 negative. So that's a 9-point negative swing in less than 30 days. So that's devastating.
That's amazing. What's interesting is that it's mostly predicated on nothing that Trump says. It's predicated on words that have come out of her mouth in 2 ways. I'm sure you're going to talk about her.
Oh, yeah. Interviews. We're coming to the interviews in a moment here. I've got a lot of material on those.
I mean, we'll be here for a while.
Yeah, I got one more clip I want to show. This is from Mark Halperin. I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's on my X feed if you guys want to find the whole thing. The clip is couched in like 5 full minutes of Halperin explaining to people how completely, totally neutral he is. But, I mean, this is the basics of it right here. Here's what he says.
Really valuable, well-known to me Republican source and a really valuable, well-positioned, well-known to me Democratic source are saying the same thing about what they're seeing in the private polling. That's really valuable. It's more valuable than just having it from one, for sure. And it gives me a greater sense of confidence of what I feel comfortable bringing to you. There's no doubt in my mind that the polling, as I've characterized it this week, is accurate. That right now Trump would win, and that the numbers are moving in his direction, and that her problems in each individual state with different demographic groups are pronounced, and she'll need to fix with some combination of tactical outreach to Black males or union workers, whatever it is, and to a macro solution like the overwhelming effectiveness of the National Bipartisan Council of Advisors. I can't stop joking about it because I just find it so ridiculous.
So that's the clip there. Yeah. So, and he goes, and again, there's like 4 more minutes of explaining after going through over and over again why you should trust his neutrality and blah, blah, blah. It's, yeah, everyone I'm talking to, the Republicans say Trump's in great shape and the Democrats say we're scared as hell. That's what they're saying internally. And then, you know, let me just go right to this clip because I don't know where else to fit this in the show. But what in the world do you guys make of this video that Gretchen Whitmer made the other day?
Oh, God.
I know everyone's seen it. But I just have to show it one more time just because it's so weird and disturbing and senseless and bizarre. What do you think? I mean, she gave this fake non-apology and she says, "I'm sorry you felt that way about it." People were offended. So she's obviously mocking the Eucharist with this weird orange woman who is some kind of left-winger. And then there's this weird bit where, okay, so first off, she's like staring at the camera with this.
And then that little head nod at the end,
what was this supposed to do for the Democrats? It's so creepy. This is the creepiest video, one of the creepiest videos I've ever seen. And he's wearing this Harris Waltz hat. He's wearing this Harris Waltz, a weird hat too, ugly hat, camo like hunters for Harris, which we can talk about in a moment.
He was hunting with his shotgun. You saw him.
Oh yeah, had some trouble loading it, but we'll see. We'll get to that. But also, is this supposed to rally the base for Harris and Waltz? I mean, you can't even read the hat. I mean, you barely could. And also, not the most, it doesn't quite go with her outfit. The hat, I guess, goes with the Doritos. But yeah, this is the clip, Jay.
Yeah, that's it.
So governor said she is sorry that people misunderstood the video, which means she's not sorry for making the video.
Right. That's like,
But,
I'm sorry you didn't like the way I smacked you across the face, Doug Emhoff. Oh, what?
yeah. Yeah. So weird.
Well, let's introduce the audience, who hopefully not most of you have teenage sons and daughters, to the term brain rot. Okay, brain rot is what the kids call this vast portion of the world that is absolutely nonsense videos. Okay, and kids fall into brain rot when they flip through their phone and they're looking at videos, and they're these crazy, disgusting whatevers like this. So apparently this was a mocking of some video that this person did a lot. I don't know who it is. I don't care. It was some other type of thing. I don't know. There was something connected to that.
Weird.
But this person is a liberal influencer, okay, which is insulting in a lot of ways. First of all, number one, for the kids that you think you're trying to reach, they know better. They know what brain rot is, right? And they know when these videos are idiotic. Okay, number one. Number two, you got a script from somebody, right? A staffer came to you and said, I have this great idea. Okay, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to pull your pants down on air. And you go, wait, no. What? No, we're not doing that. What are you talking about? What is this garbage? Who is this convincing? Who looks at this video and says, you know what? I think I really want her as the next president of the United States. A young woman of any age, that's really insulting to young women. Anybody else on the planet, it's beyond that. Besides the fact that it was obviously mocking Catholicism. And I made a point online and got snark back, as you know. No, she did not apologize. She had a staffer send out a statement to apologize, and that's not the same thing. No. And I asked this particular member of the media, and I don't know if they watch, but if they do, you can hear from me directly. How come you didn't follow up and you didn't ask a question? Hey, Governor, you're on the public dime. What did you mean by you were offended that you were sorry that you took it that way? How is this supposed to be taken? And the answer I got was, well, we reached out, but we didn't get a comment. To which I said, that's interesting, because your story doesn't even point that out.
Yeah, here's the thread you're talking about. So you have so here's what happened. So Chad Livengood, who I guess is writing for the Detroit News these days, he was with Cranes for a while. He had the big Todd Corser story years ago. Whitmer apologized to Catholics for how Dorito feeding video was construed, which again is clearly not an apology. To which you responded, Whitmer or a staffer? When you got a chance to follow up, what questions did you ask? What were her responses? Oh, you didn't. Why is that? As you just laid out. So then Chad makes this snarky reply. He's an award-winning journalist, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
We weren't able to get the governor in person to ask her about this. Her office barely acknowledged this statement was into the Michigan Catholic Conference, which in itself is an admission. But keep making these assumptions about how journalists do their job. You hear that, Matt? You don't know how journalism works. You naughty man.
I decided, you know what, Adam? I think I ought to do a public service, and I will help liberal journalists rewrite their headlines to be more accurate. And all I have to do in my head is say, what would you write if this was Republican? And the headline would be, Whitmer dodges questions about anti-Catholic video.
Yeah.
That's what the headline would read.
Yeah.
Right.
You're spot on.
Yeah. Now, on counterpoint, Jake Gless on Facebook says, I believe Whitmer is mocking how Trumpies are a Cheeto clown cult. Well,
Doritos.
Eating Cheetos, Jake. You're not very bright.
Cheetos are not the same as Doritos. They're good.
Yeah, whatever. They're both nasty.
They're extruded through little holes. They're not chips that are fried, but whatever. Okay.
Point taken. She should have used Cheetos, and then it would have been a fair point.
Right.
on Gretchen Whitmer's part, that is. Now, Carl Kirsch says Obama was shown shooting a shotgun years ago as well. If you have to pose, ask me to broadcast your pheasant hunt. Waltz, it's not surprising you're not competent with your shotgun. I go, we'll get to the We'll get to the Waltz video, guys. We got a lot to cover tonight. There's been so many crazy things. So, the death spiral. Let's. So I always gotta remember to go to that view.
Anything on Rumble?
I think it was David Sachs who was talking about this. No comments to cover on Rumble. We're still good. Okay. But we are watching you guys, folks on Rumble. I see you there. I know you're watching. You're welcome to speak up. But anyway, we just have chattier people on Facebook, I guess. So I guess David Sachs made this point and said he predicted this months ago. But there's this death spiral that the Kamala Harris campaign has locked in. But he only actually pointed to one dimension about it, and that is that the campaign is in trouble. And now they're realizing that their hide Kamala in the basement strategy and just have her handlers and proxies speak for her strategy is not working. So have her do media. The problem is she can't do media. And every time she does media, the poll numbers get even worse. And so now she doesn't know what to do. But I would argue that there's other dimension to this too, because there's also this other angle that is, and we'll look at that in more depth. There's these other things too. There's also that Kamala has these demographic deficiencies, and now her campaign is like getting more desperate to win those back and getting more crazy in how they go after them. So, Kamala's underperforming with black people. Send Barack Obama out to browbeat black people, and that is not going well. She's underperforming with men. We'll get to that in a minute, but let's go back to the first point, the bit about the interviews, because there's been some interviews this week. There was first she came on The View. Then she came on Howard Stern. And then she did Stephen Colbert, like the friendliest people you could possibly have to interview Kamala Harris, people who are tumbling over each other to be the one that saves Kamala's campaign. And she's getting the most ridiculous, softball, predictable questions you could possibly be asked. And even those she can't answer, including which came up multiple times, is, how are you different from Joe Biden? And I think it was on The View. She's like, oh, we're really the same, basically. I can't think of anything. And then, as if that wasn't bad enough, as if that didn't get ridiculed, then she goes on Colbert. And I'm just going to play Glenn Greenwald had the absolute pitch perfect reaction. That's going to play this clip. It's so funny. Here we go. This is.
I had to pretend she was giving an answer, but just listen to what it is that she said.
Of course. Polling shows that a lot of people, especially independent voters, really want this to be a change election, and that they tend to break for you in terms of thinking about change. You are a member of the President administration. Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be, and what would stay the same?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I know.
And so that would be one change in terms of, but also I think it's important to say.
Okay. Can you believe what she just said there? She said, well, one big change is I'm literally not Joe Biden, meaning like I'm not him. I'm a different human being. I have a different name. I have a different genetic makeup. He's in one place. I'm in another. So one big difference is that he's someone and I'm someone else. That is really the extent of her answer about what the question was not a bad question. People want change. You keep saying you're going to bring it, but you're part of this current administration. So what would be different between you and he? What would you do differently? And she's like, well, obviously I'm not him. I'm a different person, different name, different social security number, different date of birth. That's obvious. Everyone understands that. Everyone already knows that. She's not literally Joe Biden. The question is, substantively, how are you different than Joe Biden? Not in terms of her human identity. And she couldn't go beyond that. And then this is what she added on that, of course, predictably got moronic, mindless applause from the Stephen Colbert audience.
Change in terms of, but also I think it's important to say with 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's it. Just I'm not Trump. That's my entire message.
Yeah, I'm not Trump. I'm not Biden. Okay.
Well, it's worse than that. She got that question on The View. She completely blew it to the point where you've surprised Sonny Hostin with your stupidity. That's a low bar.
Some kind of BS answer, and she couldn't even do that.
And then that's like being a baseball player and like fastball or no, softball down the middle, and you swing and miss. You're like, the next one will be another softball down the middle. She gets the same question in whatever period of time between the View and Colbert. I presume there's some duration. Some handler didn't say, hey, you got to work on that answer.
You might want to pepper that one. You might hear that again someday. It's kind of a common question.
You're saying you're the agent of change because this is a change election. And although you're the vice president, you have to be able to identify, I don't know, something that you're going to change.
Yep.
What did someone say? You could make a joke out of it. You say, I'm not going to fall off my bike. I'm not going to fall downstairs.
Yeah.
Anything.
Tell a joke, right. Jay says, that wasn't the, I was going to, where'd it go? Yeah, Jay says, I saw a clip earlier of the teleprompter at a live unscripted Harris town hall. Yeah, there was that. There was also, and this is on and Glenn Greenwald interviewed Michael Tracy in a whole segment about this, that there was a town hall, quote unquote town hall he did with Univision, the Spanish channel, which Trump was going to do one also, and it got postponed because of the hurricane. But then Michael Tracy went to the Univision town hall to talk to the people. Half of them were shipped in from a talent company that fills your studio audience with people. The other half were imported Kamala Harris supporters who told them point blank, oh yeah, I always supported Kamala Harris. This was all just an act. Yeah, I came here to show my support for Kamala Harris. They were not the undecided voters that they were pitched at. So the Univision itself is a complete and total fraud. Speaking of frauds, there was also, this happened with, this is on 60 Minutes. We have not yet seen, I guess we never will see. Well, here's what happened. The footage from her answer on Israel was included in a commercial, and the result was so bad that they cut the clip from the actual aired program. So here,
prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Let me go back.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
So just complete gibberish.
What is that? What did she just say?
She said nothing at all. We'll hear it again. She said absolutely nothing. Here we go.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
So in the first answer, she said a bunch of gibberish in response to the question. And they didn't like that. Didn't go over well. So then the edited answer that they actually aired, he says, we're going to be tough with Netanyahu. The exact opposite of what she actually said. So.
I mean, and how does that the funny part about it is, how does that get released? Like, there is a 60-minute staffer who says, well, my job is to advertise for this event. So I'm going to pull out some highlights, if you don't mind. And they cut a bunch of highlights, and the Detroit Lions highlight clips are a bunch of fumbles and 1-yard runs. And someone says, well, that's not actually a highlight. So they show clips from like the warm-up before the game, guys catching balls. I mean, it's just, I don't understand how that even happens and how that no one has to answer for that. And that's the part that I just don't get.
Yeah, someone at CBS is probably getting fired.
Or promoted.
Yeah. Jake Gless, who I get the sense is not a big Trump supporter, says, not Trump is literally the number one reason to vote for Vice President Harris. Also number 5 reason, Jake. I think the number 10 reason too, 15, 20. It's the only thing. That's the problem Kamala has, is Orange Man bad is not enough of a winning message. And
well, it is for
especially since
them.
Orange Man was the president for 4 years, and people have some experience to draw from, whereas Kamala Harris is a big pile of question marks. So that's the problem, man.
Well, the problem that Kamala Harris had is that people's opinions about Donald Trump were pretty much set in stone. There's a little bit this way, a little bit that way. That's all you could get, right? Whereas Kamala, another politics podcast, she has effectively no floor. Okay, so to your point, their solution to the how far down can we go problem is, first of all, we're going to hide her in a closet, right? And then that didn't quite work. And then she started falling a little bit. They're like, whoa, my gosh, we got to bring her out of the closet now. So they bring her out and they put her on these things, and she's a buffoon. And that starts to accelerate. That's the David Sachs death spiral, because now it's just confirming what people had thought in their heads before. She doesn't have the intellectual capacity to be a dog catcher, let alone a president. And it's frankly laughable and embarrassing for her to say, I was a district attorney and I argued cases. And then they went back and looked, and I'm an attorney and I don't argue cases.
Yeah.
And she didn't either. She didn't argue a single case. She had staff do it. And to like claim some mantle of intellectualism is pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, there's a
Jake
absolutely
speaks like Kamala. He doesn't really say.
Anyway,
speaking
like Kamala, here's Kamala.
Think about what's at stake in this election.
Immediate relevancy.
Well, it's packed with some stuff. It's packed with some fundamental stuff. I say rather articulately.
At least she's self-aware.
Is she? Well, I mean, what is she getting there?
This election's about stuff and things.
Yeah.
And then of course that desperate cackle for approval. Like, I'm gonna just cackle and laugh until people laugh in sympathy with me. It's so sad.
Well, did you see what I put in the chat? Something just came out in the New York Post about like her performance reviews at work.
Yeah, there is actually check out Tucker Carlson just interviewed Harmy Dillon.
Oh, I haven't watched it yet. Yeah.
So Harmy Dillon is an attorney based in San Francisco, and she's also, I believe, the national committee woman for the California Republican Party.
She's currently in Arizona, heading up the legal team there, I believe.
Yeah, she does tons and tons of amazing work with the First Amendment Center and all kinds of other groups. And she has like this long interview going through. Carl says we only be unburdened by her past, unburdened by what has been, which is what her campaign has done. But anyway, so check out that if you want more about Kamala's actual record as an attorney, which basically consists of, I mean, that's the thing. Her background is, I slept with Willie Brown. Like, that's how I became district attorney. That's how I became attorney general. I slept with Willie Brown. Everybody else was more qualified.
30 years older than me.
Huh?
I slept with somebody 30 years older than me.
Yeah, 30 years older than me. He was also married. Yeah.
I was married. Yeah.
I was Willie Brown's side piece. That is literally, that is her credential. That and I had a completely uninteresting career as a U.S. senator, where I just voted as liberally as I possibly could. And that was
That's
Joe
the other
Biden.
thing people keep forgetting. Like, she literally is the most leftist person.
Yeah.
Right. We lose sight of that because she's so.
Yeah. I'm kind of skipping ahead because we just kind of touched on it there for a second, but also, so she became vice president under Biden, who had her as an insurance policy and put her in the worst possible places to make her as weak as possible for challenging him, which of course we now know has happened anyway. And now there is.
Now he's getting his revenge.
Yeah. So this has become a little too obvious not to even be talking about it. Biden sabotaging Harris's presidential campaign after being forced to drop her election bid, pundits say, and then there's multiple. This whole New York Post article's got a bunch of evidence, but starting with Biden putting on the MAGA hat that one time, that was like a couple weeks ago. Sporting a Trump 2024 cap during a 9/11 anniversary event. There was that story. Biden dons a Trump hat and visit to Shanksville. And then praising Governor Ron DeSantis for how prepped he was for handling Hurricane Milton. One day after Harris complained that DeSantis didn't take her call, and on this goes, which is.
Oh, he handled that beautifully too. Oh my God, DeSantis is top notch.
Yeah, I don't have the clip for that handy, although we got a lot of clips to show.
The other one was how she was going on her big thing on The View, which is to get her target market. And Joe Biden's team, and remember, this is not for people that don't follow it. It's not just a candidate. Candidate has a team, right? And the candidates can pretend to get along, but the teams sometimes very much don't get along. And Team Biden and Team Harris do not get along. And so what did Team Biden do? Probably led by Joe. You know what? I think now's a good time for a press conference about the hurricanes at the same time she's on The View. So networks have to choose. Do you you're going to show the, vice president on The View, or are you going to show the president of the United States talking about deadly hurricanes?
Yeah. So anyway, so all this is going on, this death spiral of stupidity with her being the media, but then death spiral part 2, demographic problems that they're trying to overcorrect. So black people, especially not the brothers, as Barack Obama is about to say, are not voting for Harris the way they turned out for Obama. I can't imagine what the distinction was between Obama and Harris. I mean, give him credit. Obama, when he spoke, people listened, and he was a brilliant orator. Maybe not so great on substance, but he, at least with Kamala, compared to Kamala, he made it sound good. Anyway, so Barack Obama is now hitting the campaign trail. He'll be coming to Detroit this week, I think. And here's what he was saying in Pennsylvania the other day. Here we go. Here's a clip.
Is that we have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all directly and say that
did he say y'all?
Have a choice that is this clear.
That's how they speak in Hawaii.
When on the one hand you have
Canada too,
somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understands the struggles and pain and joy that comes.
Joy.
Okay, she did not grow up with them. She grew up in Canada.
I know.
She was the child of 2 university professors. And if you're going to come into Detroit and say you have some shared experiences,
Brahmin class Indian too.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Canada and Montreal and son of 2 professors is going to really resonate, but I'm not going to put my opinions in the minds of others.
Yeah, the Brahmin class from which she came is like the 1% top elite class in India. And and here's another way too. She says, I was raised a middle class family. If she wasn't raised in a rich family, she'd have been saying I was raised in a working class family. But she knows she can't even get away with that. So middle class family. Yeah, right. Anyway, Obama. Let's never mind Obama for a minute here. I'll go right to some other comments here. So this is
he's aged a lot.
Oh, he's got white hair now.
Bill looked old.
Yeah.
Oh, they just had an anniversary, Bill and Hillary.
So here's some of the backlash from that. Obama calls out brothers apprehensive to vote for Harris. Babylon B. Now is not the time for independent thinking, Obama tells black Trump supporters. I know you feel like your brains are capable of making a wise and rational decision, but you need to take a moment and stop being all uppity. You don't need to go in that voting booth like a bunch of good little brothers and mindlessly punch the bell for anyone with a D next to their name. That's your only job.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
And some actual black people had some replies to this. So this is in the New York Post. Adam Coleman, who I guess is a brother, probably not Canadian or Indian. No thanks, or Jamaican. I mean, maybe he is. I don't know. No thanks, Obama. This black man will make up his own mind and not be shamed into voting for Kamala. Then there was this new video from this guy. I don't want to play the whole thing because it is a music video, and I don't want to get in any kind of copyright issues with YouTube. But if you haven't seen "Lying Kamala" by Loza Alexander, It's a 6-minute clip, and I urge you to watch the whole thing. It's very good, but here's just a little sample of it here. Again, just a little bit from the middle of it, just a taste of how some black people are responding to Kamala Harris and being lectured about who to vote for.
We ain't voting for that hoe. Let's go. We ain't voting for that hoe. Now everybody say Camel Harris. Camel Harris. Camel Harris. Camel Harris. Camel Harris. Camel Harris. Camel Harris.
What's your favorite curse word?
I can't say it. It starts with an M and it ends with
Don't nobody wanna hear your laugh, ho. Rap flow, deadly like an overweight fat Joe. Maga flow, got these lips tripping in the back, bro. This is for my people that you locked up in 94. Whoa, they gon' cheat, we already know the game plan. Dang, man, it's obvious she's communist, just wait, fam. Y'all gon' find out she about to make it rain, man. Dollar bills falling out for real with inflation.
All right. It was Patty just texting me to say turn this off right now. I'm just guessing.
Who said that?
I look like you were texting me to say turn this clip off.
Oh,
right
no.
now.
Well, I mean, people forget, though, how did her career end? Okay. How did her career end in 2020? It was at the hands of Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, she
and what
debate.
did Tulsi Gabbard throw after her? It wasn't stuff from the right. It was that you held a person on death row until the court ordered that you actually release evidence, in which case the person was let free. You kept people in jail so they could work for free for the state of California. You kept low-level drug dealers in jail. It was all and just literally tore apart her career. And the only saving grace she had was she called Joe Biden a racist, and Joe Biden was forced to put her on the ticket. Right.
Yeah.
So
that happened at that same debate, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
She had to.
It was the girl on the bus or whatever.
The girl on the bus, and that was me, right? And
that was me. And
it's funny because Kamala she's such a chameleon. There's two sides of it. Like, first off, in the 1990s, when in California there was a real craze for locking up black people for marijuana violations, she was all about that. And at the same time, she was also crazy about being soft on crime. And she was the person that authored the language that went on the ballot for proposals that drastically reclassified violent felonies as misdemeanors and misled people into voting for something that said, oh, we're only legalizing nonviolent crimes, when in actual fact, like, hundreds of rapists, murderers, these violent felons got reduced to misdemeanors and got let out of the California system.
Right. And
so she's done both things. She's been soft on crime, and she's also been vicious and nasty for nonviolent drug offenses. She's like wrong on both counts, on both sides of it.
And in the latter case, the state of California has a ballot initiative to reverse all the crap she pushed around. You could steal up to $650, and they were going to take criminal action, and all this stuff that has eviscerated some of these cities. And the one where you couldn't ask someone who was high on drugs and convicted of a crime to enter into drug rehab, you couldn't do that any longer. So that not only is that distasteful for us Michiganders, but it's distasteful for people in California who are going to vote overwhelmingly to reverse that.
Yeah. So that was one of the huge death spiral problems in demographic issues with the black voters. But then there's this other one also, and that is the deficiency with men. And let me see. I'm trying to find the tab here. I've got it open someplace. Tim Walz is there's first off, there's Tim Walz incident, which I think was just yesterday. Where he is trying to prove what a man he is by going hunting. Oh, here we go. Here it is. And he's having a little bit of trouble loading his shotgun, which, to his credit, he was able to identify the make and model of the shotgun. But he has
and it never fits quite right. Never fits quite right. It's not quite right. How do you give it back?
Full screen.
Governor, what kind of gun is it?
This is a Beretta A400. I bought it when I was shooting a lot of trap because it has their patented thing, a kickoff. So
shooting a lot of trap.
It doesn't hurt your shoulder as much. Yeah. That's my theory. And it never fits quite right. Never fits quite
Doesn't
right.
hurt your shoulder as much. You might be surprised to learn they did not actually catch anything that day.
At least the gun showed up. Although I put in the chat, I don't know if you want to share it. Bill Huizenga's response was pretty good. Actually.
Yeah, there was no no game. Okay, yeah, here we go. Let me bring this up on the screen. Yeah. Didn't catch any pheasants.
Really
here we go. So this is what Bill Huizenga posted.
Yeah. And that's Huizenga ammo.
Well, Tim Walls, it's not that hard when you actually know what you're doing. So next video, I'll show you how to load your weapon.
Nice.
Well, Tim.
You go to the next.
There's another one here too.
Yeah.
What is him loading a shotgun?
It's 16 seconds. Hunters for Huizenga.
Not that hard, Tim.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty straightforward, I'd say.
And again, I mean, look, it's running for office is hard. Okay, everything you do is scrutinized. But for God's sake, did you not have him practice on the gun before you turned the cameras on?
No
What's
kidding.
wrong with you? I don't get this. It's got to be the biggest group of amateurs I've ever seen.
Yeah, and of course that also dovetails with Kamala and saying she owns a gun. And let me tell you about my experience with handguns. A Glock, she says. Which I mean, look, Glocks are popular handgun. I own a Glock. It's also kind of your stereotypical. I don't know any models of handguns, but I've heard the word Glock before. Just kind of seems like the most probable answer to go to.
Right.
Like, shouldn't say anything like Glock 9mm, Glock 23,
right.
Glock Gen 4, compact.
Did I read somewhere that there's some
a Glock?
I don't own a handgun. Did I read somewhere that there is something with the Glock, like it doesn't have a safety or the proper safety, that if Kamala Harris had her way, that gun would have been banned in California?
Absolutely. So Glocks have internal safeties. They don't have a safety button.
Right. And therefore that weapon was going to be banned in the weapon that you say you have is the one that you were trying to ban, actually.
Yeah. Anyway, this is a short clip. Hopefully I don't get in trouble for it because it's SNL, but this was very funny. This was just Saturday. Here, let me play this one.
You keep in your glove compartment. Oh, VP Harris.
Steve, look. I was raised in a middle-class family, all right?
Oh, here we go.
Okay, my mother raised my sister and me, all right? Yeah. She worked hard and saved up.
Yeah,
And we had a second mother, too.
Okay. Did that mother have a glove compartment?
A small business owner named Miss Shelton.
Okay, we got that. Something that you keep in your glove compartment.
Oh, a Glock, Steve. A big old Glock.
So even SNL is laughing at Kamala or Kamala, whatever she's pronouncing it.
It got worse. There are other really good parts of that one.
Yeah. Carl Kurtz says Glocks are striker fired. He also says nice Bill Huizenga, but notice Waltz is shooting a semi-automatic shotgun, which most media sites call an automatic weapon. Yeah, it's not a pump action. Interesting. Russ Jennings says it's something I feel like it was directly bought off of the store shelves. Sure it was.
Probably that morning too.
Kelly says dude has never shot trap, just like Kamala knowing what a Glock is. Yep. Also, by the way, on Rumble, Jojo Pixaboo says Rumblers are here, and KC says what's most important: phone calls, door knocking, or election letter comparing candidates. Tough question, KC. Phone calls, door knocking, election letter. I would say door knocking number one. Phone calls also help, but a letter can be good if done well, but very few people do them well.
Correct.
Correct.
So the order of importance of those is door knock number one, phone call number two, letter number three. Right. Yeah. If you get in front of someone in a door knock, you're 25. The chances are 25% you'll be able to persuade them. Okay. Phone call, I'm not sure it's that high. Letter, it's probably even lower because people are inundated with mail. So if you want to help out and you want to knock a door, some people like that. Some people enjoy that part of it. Then there's opportunities for you. I don't know where you're located. If you're located here in Western Wayne County, Patty's your person for that. If you want to make a phone call, That is an easy way. If you can't walk around, we have a lot of seniors in our party. They can't walk. Please, there are plenty of opportunities. I have one that I'm doing with Pistachio. Did I say that right?
Pretty close.
Close. And we were very successful. On Thursday, we made 400 phone calls on behalf of 2 candidates.
During a Tigers game.
During a Tigers game. And we got about 20% were live answers. People picking up the phone and saying, and the candidate was sitting right next to me, and he was riffing and talking to candidates, and he picked up probably no fewer than 5 or 6 votes, just himself personally calling people. And you know, the tech. I have teenagers, so teenagers avoid kind of personal confrontation, so they like to text or whatever. They don't like to call, because the farther away you get from actually contacting someone, the more frightening it gets. But remember, it's way easier than you think it is. I mean, we start our phone banks. They start off, and I say, look, let me always do the first call because I'll show you how easy it is. And you talk to somebody who you've never met, and you say, hey, I'm just calling on behalf of these candidates. You throw a little hook in there, ask them if they've returned their ballot, and move on. So absolutely, please knock. Please make a phone call. 4th on the list, and it's really not 4th, it's about 400th on the list, is posting something on a social media site thinking that's that campaign advocacy. It is not. It is not. It does not catch people. The algorithms are set such that the audiences are very, very narrow, and you're not going to convince anybody of anything by doing that. Please.
What about standing on the corner with a sign?
Or standing on the corner with a sign, or driving down a street with a flag on your car.
Call people, talk to them, and then tell them to sign Elon Musk petition and give me $47. Gotta get that.
I want my share of that.
Yeah, you know, I have a feeling I'm gonna have to sue Elon Musk someday. Just saying. I did notice their website changed a little bit, and they added a thing that said, make sure you have to fill this out yourself. You can, nobody else can fill this out for you. Which I'm like, well, okay, but if someone signs a piece of paper that has a petition on it, I can't punch that in. How are you gonna prove that? How are you gonna dispute that? So maybe we'll see. But there is an actual The America PAC person in Michigan. I was on a state party call, and they had a staffer on the call, a real person whose name was the last name I've heard before. So without naming her, it's not that important, but there is a real person contact somewhere in Michigan for this operation. So yeah, I mean, it still is open till October 21st. And I did a whole stream about this last Tuesday, so I'm going to go through this whole thing all over again. But they flat out say, every person you get to sign this petition, we will give you $47, which is ludicrous. So folks, you can support Rescue Michigan. Go to petition.theamericapac.org. Use precinctleaders@gmail.com as you refer. Sorry, Matt, I did not mean to obscure your face there. That's just kind of the way that promo code did that. Anyway, we were talking about the death spiral, and the browbeating of black people, browbeating of men. By the way, I saw 2 billboards yesterday, between Dundee and Milan. Exact same billboard. Man with a beard, got a big, thick beard, says, I'm a Trump supporter and a veteran. This year I'm voting for Kamala Harris. Yeah, freaking right.
And again, you saw the ad that I saw.
I'm going to play it now. The cringiest ad in history. Ladies and gentlemen, I know you've all seen this. We have to kind of dissect this a little bit, though, because this is freaking hilarious. Here we go. I'm a man. Okay, stop.
I'm a man. I'm an anchor man. I'm sorry. I'm a man.
I'm a man, he says. Anyone who has to say, I'm a man, is no man.
Correct.
I'm a man. Okay, I was going to get to something, but I'll get to it in a moment.
I'm a man, and I'm man enough.
I'm man enough to enjoy a barrel-proof bourbon.
Neat. Ooh. This is how they think men define themselves. I drink my whiskey neat. Now, as it happens, I do drink whiskey neat, but I don't wear that on my sleeve.
You drank whiskey neat before the song came out. Actually.
Exactly.
Man enough to cook my steak rare. Man enough to deadlift 500, then braid the out of my daughter's hair.
Okay. Man enough to deadlift 500 and then braid the shit out of my daughter's hair. Now, it just so happens someone did some looking in to these individual people to see who they might actually be, and you won't believe it.
They're actors?
But these guys actually aren't quite the men that they said they were. Let's have a little look, shall we? Let me just pull this up on the screen here. Here we go. As many of you know, Jimmy Kimmel's writer, Jacob Reed, directed an ad for the Kamala Harris campaign titled Men for Kamala. The ad features what are presented as everyday male voters. I would not call them everyday male voters. They're retarded caricatures. Is why they are the masculine thing too. Okay, so here's who these people actually are. Waylon McQueen that's this guy. We saw him a moment ago. Waylon McQueen. That was the guy saying, here, let's go back.
Ready to rebuild a car. I'm man enough to
Man.
I'm a man, man.
and I'm man enough. I'm man enough to enjoy a barrel-proof bourbon.
Neat. Man enough to cook my.
This guy. This is Waylon McQueen. Man enough to cook my to cook my steak rare. Wow. Go figure. And here he is on X saying, if you're having trouble understanding white privilege, here's some examples of white privilege, blah, 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 blah. He is a far less pro-Antifa comedian and actor who has until now found limited success. He does improv gigs with the Upright Citizens Brigade in Los Angeles as a comedy improv troupe. In a Twitter post from 2022, he explains what white privilege is. You need to acknowledge your white privilege. As of 2024, he is single. Lanre Idewu is an immigrant from Nigeria. He's also an actor who works at the DC-based Octet Productions. He has many intimate pictures with the Obamas and the Bidens. Idewu, who is bisexual, has done gay-for-pay movies and nude solo shoots. In the Men for Kamala video, he says he is man enough to effing braid his daughter's hair, but the only problem is he does not have a daughter. He isn't braiding anyone's hair. So,
Man enough to deadlift 500, then braid the out of my daughter's hair.
You think I'm afraid to rebuild a carburetor? I eat carburetors for breakfast.
Looks like you do, buddy.
He does eat carburetors for breakfast. So, some of you manly men out there might have caught the issue with that. Besides you could just barely detect it in that clip, although you hear it more clearly in a moment. The lisp. I eat carburetors for breakfast, guys. But besides that, most of you manly men out there probably would know that cars have had fuel injectors for like the last 30 years. Like if you're fixing a carburetor on your moped, your lawnmower.
I repaired a carburetor. It was on a 1986 truck that I bought for $900.
Oh,
yeah,
that truck.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I've repaired a carburetor once. You dip it in carb cleaner. If that's not enough, you get a new carburetor. That's about all you do. Anyway, so we have other guys here, but let's continue.
I ain't afraid of bears. That's what bear hugs are for.
I'll tell you another thing I sure as shit am not afraid of. Women.
Okay, there's the pivot, guys. They've laid out to you. These are the manly men. Let's look at some of the other things about them, by the way. Mike Leffingwell, a gay man. That's it. So Mike Leffingwell, that is
the carburetor.
This is the guy with the horse. Yeah, the guy with the horse. And what else did he say he does? I forget. He's Mr. Manly Man. He's actually homosexual. Works with the Upright Citizens Brigade, where McQueen works. He's an acting coach, a cartoon writer for Netflix and DreamWorks, and an actor in TV commercials. He showcases on his Instagram page his participation in this Men for Kamala ad. Winston Carter, the heavyset fellow, I don't know who they mean by that description, who claims to be a mechanic and a rancher, lives in Los Angeles, signed with Taft Broadcasting Company. He has found limited success in the acting world. He seems so talented, though, mainly as an extra in films and as a character in the low-budget superhero film Spaghetti Man. So there's that guy holding a banana like a gun, holding a gun like a banana with some superhero things on his living room wall, like a manly man has. And so there you go. So that is Winston Carter from the Taft Broadcasting Company. Anyway, let's get back to the
Afraid of women.
I'm not afraid of women.
They want to control their bodies? I say go for it.
They want to use IVF to start a family? I'm not afraid of families.
They want to be.
You're afraid of families. That's why you don't have a family. It's why you're into men, because you don't want to have a family.
Childless cat ladies.
Have all the cats you want.
Woman wants to be president?
Well, I hope she has the guts to look. They want to be childless cat ladies.
Have all the cats you want.
Okay, Men in the chat. If a woman ever says to you, if we're going to do this thing as a condition, I get to have all the cats I want. Is this a deal breaker for you? Because if a woman says to me, I want to have all the cats I want, I'm going to say, maybe one. Okay, maybe even two. I don't think anyone's going to say all the cats you want.
And that's not entirely true. The correct answer to that question is you would say, okay, but they have to be lynx or larger. Okay, so I want lynx, cheetah, lion, tiger, or large. Lynx or larger. Then fine. Then you got to do.
There's some, I forget the name of it. There's some kind of cat that's like just a really big cat that's not quite lynx, not quite tiger. It's like a something, some kind of cat. Anyway, they look kind of neat, but they're like very expensive. Hard to get. Jake Gless, counterpoint, Jake Gless. I heart women. After 235 years, there's never been a better time for our first female president. I think it can wait a little. I think it can wait a little longer. Anyway.
Jake's got a great picture of his cat right there.
Matt, your sound is...
Yeah, Matt, something's going on with your microphone. You might want to just unplug it and plug it back in. That might do the trick.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's little left of this video, but let's keep it
Woman
going.
wants to be president? Well, I hope she has the guts to look me right in the eye and accept my full-throated endorsement. Because I'm man enough to support women. Man enough to know what kind of donuts I like. Man.
Okay, maybe you're wondering what that was. This guy is man enough to know what kind of donuts he likes. Now, that might be lost on some of you folks, because why is that a thing? Like, what does that even mean? Well, this would be something that only a complete campaign geek would know about. But some time ago, J.D. Vance was asked, he was doing a campaign stop at a donut shop. And this is when, remember, the Democrats were saying how weird J.D. Vance is compared to Tim Walz. So J.D. Vance is at a donut shop, and they asked what kind of donut he wants. He says, just give me whatever works. And the Democrats made this into a thing. J.D. Vance doesn't have a preference in donuts. What a weirdo. What a weirdo. Any old fried bread with some sugar, and he's a happy camper. What a weird, sick freak J.D. Vance is. No, folks, these manly men, they know what kind of donuts they like.
Man enough to admit I'm lost, even when I refuse to ask for directions.
Man enough to not ban young women from reading Little Women.
Or one of those pants books that the sisters like.
Oh, yeah. Those are the books they're banning in the libraries, right, guys? They're banning Little Women. They're not banning, hardcore homosexual child pornography in the libraries. That's not what that's not what the Republicans are trying to ban. They're trying to ban books, guys. They're censors. They're against free speech. Anyway.
Man enough to raw dog a flight. It sucked. Not worth it.
That's a great joke. He said, I'm man enough to raw dog a flight. It sucked. Yeah. Now, again, a lot of inside jokes here, because voters, especially trying to persuade undecided voters, inside jokes, things that nobody will get, are the way to go. I had to look this one up. I did not know what that meant. Raw dogging a flight means you don't play with your phone or read a magazine or do anything on a flight. It means you stare stock still at the seat in front of you for however long your flight is.
Right,
and that's, I guess, like some kind of challenge or some kind of thing.
Matt, still bad.
Yeah, your audio is still not good, Matt. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe try disconnecting and reconnecting all together from StreamYard. See if that does the trick.
All right, you got it.
Sorry, you got some big crackling thing going on.
Yeah,
what man sits with his hands like that? Yeah, good question. It's me against Sign Rumble says gay. Also says civet cat. Maybe that's what it was called. I don't know. Civet cat. I don't know how you pronounce it. All right, let's watch the rest of this lousy, stupid clip.
I'm man enough to be emotional in front of my wife.
In front of my kids.
In front of my horse.
Oh, by the way, old man guy, that's Tony Ketchum. He, same post, the tough, rugged, bearded grandpa in his garage is also an actor. He nominally does low-budget independent films like Carbots, where he played the role of Peepaw. Tony is unmarried in real life. Imagine that. In 2001, he played the extra role of alcoholic consumer in the movie Ghost World. So, yeah, these are the rugged, manly men that Kamala Harris has paid to make a video for her. Up north, Emmett says, raw dogging a flight of Zoomer brain rot talk ain't gonna win this one.
I'm man enough to tell you that I cry at Love Actually. Goodwill Hunting.
West Side Story.
That and Predator.
And I'm sick of so-called men domineering, belittling, and controlling women just so they can feel more powerful. That's not how my mama raised me.
I love women.
I love women who support their families.
Women who decide not to have families.
Women who take charge.
And I'm man enough to help them win.
I'm a man.
Yeah, man up, man. Man up, man. That's how my mama raised me. Jesus Christ.
I mean, what do you even say to that nonsense?
Like,
it's so insulting to men. Like,
make this video go viral, guys.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I knocked on a door yesterday that was the
what you do
data
with
said
that
it was.
video is you make an ad buy in the Detroit media market. you play that clip, and you put paid for by the Michigan Republican Party at the end of it. That's what you do. I'm kidding. I'm joking. It's not what you really do. Anyway. Yeah. Betty Nelson says cringe. Yeah.
I mean,
All right.
yeah.
I got a text from Matt.
appealing
Oh,
to,
Matt's
like-
back. Hold on.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Sorry about that, Matt.
All right, how's that?
Good. You got your audio's working good? Cool.
All right, beautiful.
That little sad trombone coming through, by the way. I never know if my audio.
I love the
effects
sand
are fully
trombone.
working.
And here's the thing about this video, Adam.
Huh.
Somebody wrote this.
Yeah.
Somebody
Someone got paid to
sat
make this.
down and said, I want to appeal to
This will
some
really
voter.
get them.
And you wrote this down and presumably got read by like 2 or 3 or 4 people, which tells me again, which I think you've mentioned on your show before, and I know I've talked about it for a while, is it's not just they don't even have a man in their circle who can look at that video and go, no. You're not attracting any man of any age with this video. Let's not do that. Let's do something else. Let's get Kamala on horseback or something. I don't know, but not that. But they did, that's, again, someone thinks that that's who your target market is. I don't know how to describe that target market, but
Yeah. Well, the other big thing the Democrats are doing is taking Liz Cheney on the road. Because that's also going to make up the difference. We're having trouble reaching our own people. Let's try to reach some of these
Country over
Republican
party.
Yeah. Country over party. We saw that in that clip earlier. And she's on the news every day. Like the news networks keep bringing her on. Someone who lost her primary election by like 36 points, lost her race. Someone who her father Dick Cheney is like hated, like left office 20% approval rating at the end of the Bush administration. And these are the people they're taking everywhere. Like I saw someone commenting on X the other day saying like, yeah, I showed this to my liberal friends and they're like, what? Like we haven't forgotten who Dick Cheney was. We don't like Dick Cheney. Why is that a great thing? Ron Picard says, put Kamala in a tank with a helmet.
That's in my hometown where I was born, right down the street from where I lived. Someone thought it was a good idea. Let's put him in a tank with a helmet. Maybe I want to check see if the helmet fits.
Carl says maybe Liz's next stop will be on The View. Kelly says don't even have a countryman in the circle to say it. Yeah, see, again, normally, like I remember, like even in local campaigns, like state Senate campaigns, the other side would focus group. Like we'd have people report to us. We were getting calls, testing messages to see what would work with us, and then they'd roll that out when they're talking like big money campaign. When money is involved, and you want to spend $1 million to deploy a big, painful, hard-hitting ad, you do some focus grouping and make sure you get the best message possible to go out with to use your limited resources with. We're doing none of that. It's so weird. So yeah, that is the death spiral, folks, and it is pretty good to see. Like if we just keep this going, keep the momentum going, keep organizing, keep knocking on doors, I think we're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, in the words of Dave Chappelle, you hate to see it, but more than that, you love to see it.
Yeah. Jake Gless says, has anyone checked in with Mike Pence lately? Jake, you know what you're doing, man? You are coping and seething. And accept what you're seeing. You're coping and seething. The truth is scalding, and now you are molding and coping.
He's barely coping.
Coping and seething. All right. Anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, talking about the death. No, I think we're done talking about the death spiral. I got some other random news. I got an actual sad email today from someone in response to just promoting the show, and the response was, and I quote the entire response: "We can't win. Russia and China, Iran too, has this election sewn up. Biden, Harris, two crooked, evil traitors." That's the entire thing. Message was essentially getting at, it doesn't matter how much we're winning. The foreign countries are going to steal the election somehow. And they're all obviously working for Kamala. Which, I got to tell you guys, I just don't see it. I just don't see it. But I know people out there are thinking it. And this is
You never know what's going to happen. I mean,
this is what these psychos, left of center says, you guys said that's, no, we didn't. Mike Labadie did. Michael Flynn does. Patrick Kolbeck does. All these people who are either themselves operatives of the Democrats or they're unwitting subjects. That is what they have been doing for the past 2 years plus. Thank you, left of center. I appreciate that. Yes, not us personally, but there are people like this, folks, and you have to get their sorry butts to the polls. Yeah, Melissa Crohn's of the world. Yeah, I know, and I know she was on what's his name's show the other day. I didn't even watched it, but yeah, I mean,
whose show was she on?
Bigger Truth, Scott McMahon's show.
Oh, she was. Okay.
Yeah.
For anyone that's listening that still has that in their head, to understand when Adam mentioned earlier about organization and boots on the ground, to understand that this is light years ahead of 2020. Okay. I'm an attorney. I have been very parenthetically involved in some discussions around some of these issues. And the RNC in particular, Michael Whatley in very particular, has been absolutely hitting it out of the park across the country. For example, we had a lawsuit between the RNC and the city of Detroit about election inspectors. These are poll workers, people that work at the polls. This is the person wearing the white and black stripes. The referee is more important than the person looking over the referee's shoulder. The results of this lawsuit and its ultimate effectively settlement is that we're going to get a whole bunch more Republican eyes in Detroit on election day, including at AV counting boards. And having those people actually working the polls and seeing what the rules are and following them is very, very important. That did not happen in 2020. None of these lawsuits happened. As you know, none of the things involving media misinformation have happened. If you listen to JD Vance talk to the lady at the New York Times, that's a great example of that. So there's a lot of infrastructure in place and there's eyes on these things now. So the chances of there being this kind of broad scale kind of disaster is very, very low. And the old adage, right? Fool me once, shame on you, but fool me twice, shame on me. There's going to be no fool me twice.
Yeah. All right, I gotta read some chats here real quick. Left of Center clarifies, Melissa said explicitly on Scott's show the machines did not flip the votes. She was mistaken on that. That's weird because she was the eyewitness who said she saw the Dominion people doing these things. So if there wasn't that, then what was her testimony all about? So maybe it's more of a case of, okay, how do I still be relevant now that my testimony is no good?
Or it could be the case of people losing millions of
it's me against I says we got RFK and Tulsi, they got Cheney. Good trade. Yep, exactly. Chris Gershie says Pat Kolbeck is a Democrat ? Okay, let me elaborate on this a little bit. I don't think Pat Kolbeck's a Democrat. I might be persuaded to think he's some kind of charlatan. He is a serial grandstander who invested his reputation in the Gnomes of Zurich vote flipping theory from the get-go. From the get-go, like from Now remember, Colbeck was in the state Senate from 2011 to 2018. And when you get termed out, all of a sudden you're a nobody again. And Colbeck's way of getting back into the mix of things was to be this expert scientist who can tell you how the machines are so complicated and fancy and doing all these things. And using that, he leveraged his way into Mike Lindell's operation and was helping him with his movies. He was a star on the movies. So he has made himself into this celebrity on this topic. Now, I will tell you something about Colbeck. After Lindell's first movie came out, what was it called? Absolute Proof. I pointed out that there was this segment in the bit in that movie that was absolute disinformation, which was when there was this stuff flying across the screen showing all these different counties in these swing states and saying, here's how many votes the machine stole. And the numbers, if you paused the video and looked, were absolutely ludicrous. Like the number in Mackinac County, Michigan was, multiple times the population of Mackinac County, Michigan, which if you're not in Michigan, you don't know what Mackinac County is, you might not know that, but I saw that and caught it. I told Colbeck this, and Colbeck's like, oh, okay, I'll make sure this gets corrected. And then the next Mike Lindell movie comes out called Absolute Something Else, and exact same footage was used, exact same misinformation, disinformation, whatever you want to call it, was in that video. So yeah, at some point, you got to just say, look, the guy is either so delusional that he believes the things he's saying in confluence with the personal benefit he gets from it, or he's just a charlatan or a grifter or a huckster, or who knows, perhaps even a Democrat operative, which I think is what Scott McMahon contends. But either which way, the result is the same. The result is the same, which is that these idiots and bullshitters out there are discouraging conservatives from actually turning out and voting. And that's why it's so important to call this bullshit out.
Well, I can tell you something that Pat Colbeck is not.
What's that?
Pat Colbeck is not and was not ever a supporter of Donald Trump. Pat Colbeck was in the 11th congressional district, a delegate for Ted Cruz. And if you recall, winding the machine all the way back to July of 2016, what was Ted Cruz and his group planning to do at the Republican National Convention in 2016 in Cleveland?
Steal the nomination.
Steal the nomination. And if Pat Colbeck thinks people forget the conversations that he had about that, he would be very surprised.
Carl Kerr says, I really hope Matt is right on the cheating. As if no one can find out how far we are ahead, they can manufacture the needed votes to swamp out the actual results. Folks, absentee voting fraud can occur to a point. And guess what? Guess how much of it has occurred in the last, let's not even just say the 2 major elections. Let's say the last 10 major elections. As much as they possibly can. So that baseline is already baked into the cake. So if we narrowly lost in 2020 and won outright in 2016, then all else looking better than both of those cycles, we're looking better.
And for Carl's benefit, the answer is eyes are particularly on that one, right? Which is why there was a lawsuit in and around the stubs. There was a change in the way the ballots were delivered. There was a complete throwaway of the Benson's guidance on no signature matching. So there's eyes all over that. And the number of votes, for everyone's benefit, the number of ballots that are sent out is a well-known number. It's published every single day. It cannot go up by 1 million in a day or 100,000. It could go up at 100,000 a day, but we get that information. We know there's 2 in this precinct and 4 in that precinct and 6 in that precinct. If we wake up and there's a precinct where there's 150 ballots issued, new absentee ballots, that's a giant red flag, and we are going to be on top of that. So that particular one, that's something that eyes are all over.
Yep. All right, guys. I was going to do some stuff about the debates, but I feel like we've done a lot for tonight. And there's a final debate between Slotkin and Rogers tomorrow night. It's in I think Southfield somewhere, I want to say.
It's in Detroit area, yeah. I think Southfield. There's no people out there holding signs in the street.
Yeah, I will try to find a live feed for that. Maybe we'll do a stream tomorrow about that. I don't know. I saw and I took note of the last one.
We're making calls and eating Greek lasagna. So
it's called pasticcio.
That sounds like a better plan than mine. So there you go. All right, guys. Maybe sometime this week we'll do another stream and catch up on some other topics. But I think we've covered a lot tonight.
Yeah, good stream.
Absolutely. I had a lot of fun tonight. A lot of clips tonight. We had a lot of video to make fun of.
Fun.
Matt, Patty, thank you guys for joining us. You guys have any events you want to promote this week?
Phone bank.
Phone bank is tonight. If you're in the Western Wayne County area or Washington County, you can reach out to Patty or myself. We're doing it. We're buying some food and we're getting on our phones or making calls. It has been wildly successful. It is a great method. And if you're the type of person, which we have a lot in our group, that really can't physically walk around and knock doors. I get it. It can be hard on your knees and your back and stuff. Come onto the phone bank, sit your butt down in a seat, grab your phone, get a piece of pasticcio, and make some phone calls. And it's a fun time too.
Yeah. And then tell them to go to theamericapac.org and give you $47 for the trouble. So there you go.
Pay for the
or give us $47. You just need to use your promo code or you refer precinctleaders@gmail.com. And there you go. So thanks, guys.
That's great.
All right. I think we're done for the night. Thank you guys for all you do for liberty. Until next time,